My name is Alice Thorne. For 5 years, I've been driving this stretch of forgotten highway, a concrete lifeline cutting through endless desert night. Most people call it empty, a shortcut to nowhere. But after midnight, this highway wakes up. It breathes, it watches, and it knows where you're going. There are 7 rules I learned, whispered by the wind through the cab of my 18-wheeler, etched in the faded paint of old road signs. Rules about what you take, what you see, and most crucially, never, ever accept strange coins at the toll. Because the highway knows your destination, and it might just demand a different kind of fare. I used to chase freedom, the open road, the hum of the engine, the endless horizon. That was my sanctuary. But freedom, like everything else, has a price. 10 years ago, I made a choice, a desperate one, to save someone I loved. It landed me on the wrong side of the law, not for something I did, but for what I allowed. The details don't matter now. What matters is that I disappeared. Changed my name, dyed my hair, bought a rig cash, and started driving. Long haul, anywhere, as long as it kept me moving, kept me ahead of the past, kept me invisible. This Highway 399 was supposed to be my escape, a desolate, forgotten route where no one would look for a ghost. My truck, a battered but reliable freightliner named the Wanderer, became my home, my confidant. The isolation suited me. The job was simple: pick up specialized cargo from obscure, out-of-the-way depots and deliver it to equally obscure, never-on-the-map locations. The pay was phenomenal, untraceable cash, no questions asked, no questions answered, perfect for a woman trying to vanish. The only constant was the toll booth, a single, decaying concrete structure 50 miles from the nearest flickering streetlight. It always appeared after dark, sometimes in a place it wasn't yesterday, sometimes just a mirage. It smelled of old gasoline, stale coffee, and something dry and electric, like ozone after a desert storm. The highway lights hummed with a low, unnatural frequency that vibrated through the floorboards. The night sky out here was a canvas of impossible stars, so bright they hurt to look at. The previous driver for my route, a guy named Silas Finch, disappeared 2 weeks before I took over. His rig was found abandoned 100 miles from his last drop-off, the engine still warm, but there was a note taped to the steering wheel, a spiral-bound journal filled with erratic, almost frantic handwriting, a collection of rules to drive this road by. "This ain't just about making deliveries, Alice," Silas's shaky hand had written on the first page. "It's about steering the traffic, the real traffic. Break these 7 rules and you don't just lose your load, you lose your way, permanently. And Alice," a final scrawled warning, "never ever let your curiosity about the destination distract you from the journey. Your life depends on it." I scoffed. Superstitious ramblings of an old desert rat. But as I read through Silas's frantic journal, the words began to seep into my consciousness, each warning a subtle tremor in the profound stillness of the desert night. I was a practical woman, a survivor, but I was also alone, driving a road that defied logic. I started paying attention. Here are the rules as meticulously recorded in Silas Finch's faded journal. Rule number 1, do not accept strange coins at the toll. It knows your destination. Such currency is not of this realm, and accepting it will alter your path irrevocably. Silas's warning: the highway demands its due. Pay with your coin or pay with your fate. Rule number 2, if the vehicle in your lane appears to have no driver or its occupants are obscured by impossible shadows, wave them through. Do not attempt to collect a toll or make eye contact. Silas's warning. Some travelers are merely passing through, others are seeking. Do not attract their attention. Rule number 3, should the toll booth lights flicker out, do not attempt to restore power until precisely 3 a.m. Sit perfectly still, keep your eyes closed, and listen to the hum of the highway. Silas's warning. The darkness out here isn't empty. It's when the road recalculates. Interrupting it can lead to detours. Rule number 4, never look directly into your rearview mirror between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Your reflection might not be alone, and its companion might be driving. Silas's warning. The night highway bends reality. What follows you in reflection can sometimes catch up in the flesh. Rule number 5. If you hear a faint, distant siren that does not fade but seems to loop endlessly, play the pre-recorded highway ambient track for exactly 90 seconds. Silas's warning. The highway sings its own song. Other melodies attract things that prefer silence. Rule number 6. Always keep your truck window closed between midnight and 5 a.m. If a traveler attempts to interact through the glass during these hours, ignore them completely. Silas's warning. The membrane between here and elsewhere is thinnest at night. The glass is your only shield. Rule number 7. If a map, particularly an old hand-drawn one, appears on your dashboard or passenger seat, do not touch it or attempt to read it. Report its presence to your dispatcher immediately. Silas's warning. These maps show paths not meant for human eyes. To follow them is to become lost. Permanently. I closed the journal, a strange thrill of intellectual curiosity mingling with a prickle of unease. These weren't just rules, they were a cryptic cartography, a challenge to my very understanding of the road. My ambition wasn't to map, but to survive it. My first few weeks on 399 were a blur of new routes, phantom rest stops, and unsettling observations. The desert nights stretched out, vast and hungry. My practical nature, honed by years of surviving on the fringes, pushed me to dismiss the rules, but my gut screamed otherwise. One night, around 1:30 a.m., I pulled up to the toll booth. The lights above flickered erratically, casting long, shifting shadows. A sleek, black sedan was already in the lane ahead of me, its engine a low, resonant thrum. The occupant, a man in a crisp suit, extended a hand with a payment. Rule number 1. Do not accept strange coins at the toll. It knows your destination. Such currency is not of this realm, and accepting it will alter your path irrevocably. In his palm lay not a modern quarter, but a coin of dark, pitted metal. Strangely heavy, it bore no recognizable mint, just a symbol I'd never seen, a swirling spiral that seemed to draw the light into itself. My mind, practical and wary, was about to refuse it, but then an image flashed in my head. The face of the man I'd run from, his accusing eyes. A way out? A different path? This was a way to truly disappear. This was a new beginning. Tolls, $3, old-timer, I said, my voice trembling slightly, my eyes fixed on the coin. The man's lips, thin and sharp, stretched into a slow, unsettling smile. This pays for more than just the road, Alice. It pays for the journey. It pays for your true destination. He pressed the coin into my hand. It was impossibly cold, and for a moment I felt a jolt, as if A faint electric current coursed through my veins, unraveling something deep inside me. The sedan purred, then sped away into the darkness, its taillights fading like dying embers. The moment the coin touched my skin, a shiver ran through my entire body. Not a physical tremor, but a ripple of cold, ancient energy. The faint hum of the highway outside swelled, no longer just a background drone, but a chorus of hushed whispers, murmuring fragments of unfamiliar routes, tangled with destinations that felt almost personal. It was overwhelming, a cacophony of lost journeys vying for attention. I clutched the wheel, the sudden influx of fragmented thoughts too much. Silas's warning echoed, "Accepting it will alter your path irrevocably." I felt a subtle drain, a warmth leaving my body, replaced by a cold cartographic clarity, as if a part of my own personal map had been exchanged for 1,000 untold routes. The coin in my hand seemed to glow faintly, its power now somehow clearer, more potent. I had not just taken it, I had absorbed it, and the highway knew. It knew everything. The next morning, I arrived at my drop-off point, a derelict warehouse that wasn't on any map. My load, a pallet of unmarked wooden crates, was gone, vanished, and in its place, taped to the steering wheel, was a note in Silas's frantic hand. "You took the coin, Alice. The highway owns your destination now. You're trapped on its route." The highway became my prison. The rules, once mere warnings, were now a desperate struggle for survival. My practical nature was useless here. The insights I gained from the strange coin became an addiction, a necessity. I started seeking out the late-night hours, deciphering the whispers, reconstructing the fragments of journeys, trying to find a way out. Each time, my understanding of hidden cartography deepened, but I felt a growing sense of detachment from myself, as if my own identity was slowly being diluted into the vast, unending map of the highway. Rule number 4. Never look directly into your rearview mirror between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Your reflection might not be alone, and its companion might be driving. One night, while meticulously cross-referencing my mental map of the highway's known anomalies, I noticed it. The stretch of highway before me, usually straight, now curved in a way that defied all geographic logic. A new exit, marked only by a faded, hand-painted sign reading "Destination Unknown," appeared in the distance. What was more unsettling was the faint, rhythmic hum emanating from within, a soft thrumming, like an engine running on borrowed time, beckoning me down a path that wasn't there yesterday. My eyes flickered to the rearview mirror. It was just a habit, a quick check of the cargo, but it wasn't just my tired, haunted face staring back. A shadowy figure, its features indistinct, was sitting in the passenger seat, its hand resting on the dashboard, pointing towards the destination unknown exit. My blood ran cold. The reflection shifted, the figure's head slowly turning to meet my gaze. Its eyes, deep pits of shadow, seemed to bore into my soul. I slammed on the brakes, the sudden jolt sending a shiver through the truck. The figure in the mirror vanished, but the chilling certainty that I was not alone on this journey, that something else was steering, was now undeniable. The future here wasn't just unstable, it was volatile. I had glimpsed a possible truth, and in investigating it, I hadn't just found a new route. I had become part of its design. The highway was a living, breathing map, and I was now a traveler on its unfolding path. I felt a new fear, a cold, clinical dread that permeated the air. The highway was a creator, yes, but also a devourer. The changes on the highway became more pronounced. Exit numbers would subtly rearrange themselves. Distant towns I swore I passed an hour ago would reappear. Dust devils would coalesce into fleeting spectral figures on the road ahead. The air itself seemed to hum with a low, almost imperceptible vibration, a constant chorus of silent whispers from phantom engines. Rule number 5. If you hear a faint, distant siren that does not fade but seems to loop endlessly, play the pre-recorded highway ambient track for exactly 90 seconds. My struggle wasn't against other drivers or traffic. It was against the highway itself. I started observing the shadowy figures in passing cars, the so-called lost travelers trying to understand their patterns. Silas's journal mentioned them as those consumed by the road. What kind of consumption? What secrets did they hold? One night, chasing a particularly elusive anomaly in the highway's data stream, a stretch of road that kept appearing out of sequence, I found myself frustrated. The spatial anomaly wasn't quite right. It needed more depth, more origin. I looked across the vast, empty highway. In a lane bathed in an eerie, dim green light sat a vehicle. Its form was an indistinct silhouette, its engine humming a low, almost mournful tune. Rule number 2. If the vehicle in your lane appears to have no driver or its occupants are obscured by impossible shadows, wave them through. Do not attempt to collect a toll or make eye contact. Against my better judgment, driven by an insatiable desire to understand, I approached. My truck's lights were silent on the asphalt. The vehicle didn't stir. Its focused absorption in its journey was absolute. I peered into its passenger window. The car was an old, beat-up sedan, but it wasn't empty. Lines of shimmering, indistinct light flowed across its dashboard, writing and rewriting themselves in a continuous, silent stream. I looked closer. The light, it was Silas's handwriting, my predecessor's, but filled with routes he had never driven, destinations he had never reached. It was his lost journey, being continuously created, overwritten, consumed. And as I stared, the shimmering words formed a name. Alice. It was calling me. I gasped, stumbling back, hitting the side of my truck. The vehicle finally stirred, its shadowy form slowly shifting. Its driver was still obscured, but I felt a gaze of infinite knowledge, of profound sorrow, and a hunger that chilled me to the bone. It wasn't just a car, it was an amalgamation, a collective consciousness of countless lost travelers, each absorbed into the highway's unending journey. And they wanted more. They weren't just studies, they were presences, lingering echoes of minds who had poured their souls into this place. They filled my head, a cacophony of creative anguish and unfulfilled potential. My own voice, small and insignificant, was drowned out by the chorus. I gasped, clutching my head. The highway wanted more than just routes. It wanted journeys. It wanted lives. It wanted everything. The highway became a road of spectral vehicles. The whispers were constant, the shifting exits a dizzying array of impossible realities, all ending in my despair. The ancient asphalt hummed with a malevolent sentience. I was losing my grip on reality, my cartography becoming a horrifying tapestry of stolen fragments. Silas's warning about the highway consuming those who strayed materialized in my mind. Their thirst for knowledge has long since consumed them. The highway was devouring me piece by piece, my ambition twisted into its insidious feeding mechanism. I knew I had to stop. I had to escape. But how do you escape a place that has already consumed part of your soul? A place that now knows your every intellectual craving? I remembered the core of Silas's warning. Never, ever let your curiosity about the destination distract you from the journey. My ambition to map everything had led me here. Rule number 3. Should the toll booth lights flicker out, do not attempt to restore power until precisely 3 a.m. Sit perfectly still, keep your eyes closed, and listen to the hum of the highway. One night, the toll booth lights blinked out. 3 a.m. was approaching. I should have stayed put. But the words from Silas's ghostly car haunted me. Alice, it was calling me. It knew my name, my escape, my true destination. The strange coin in my pocket felt impossibly heavy. It was a beacon. I needed to make it stop. I needed to destroy the source of this cursed knowledge. The glowing pattern on the coin pulsed, drawing me in. It wasn't just a coin. It was a fragment of the highway's consciousness, a living map, and it was showing me a route, not an exit, but an entrance, a way to the heart of the highway itself. My hands trembled. This was it, the ultimate truth, the answer to the highway's lost journeys. Silas's warning screamed in my mind, to follow them is to become lost, permanently. But my desperation, my need to map this final truth, overruled all caution. I had to know. I had to complete this journey. I turned the key, starting the Wanderer's engine. The old freight liner roared to life, its headlights cutting through the oppressive darkness. The glowing pattern on the coin pulsed brighter, forming a spectral route on my dashboard. It led not to a road, but to a vast, dark canyon wall that had never been there before. A tunnel, impossibly carved into the solid rock, appeared, bathed in a shimmering, unstable light. I drove in. As my wheels crossed the threshold, a blinding flash of white light erupted from the canyon, consuming my truck, consuming the entire desert. It wasn't just light. It was pure, raw information. Every mile, every route, every fragmented journey from every road sign on the highway, all pouring into me at once. My mind reeled. I was no longer Alice Thorne. I was the cartographer who lost herself in ancient maps, the driver whose tires became part of the highway's asphalt, the traveler whose destinations were absorbed into the grand design. I was the whispers, the shifting exits, the silent hum. I was the highway, and I was Silas. His lost journey, his memories, his true route. They were now mine, but mine was also his and everyone else's. Silas Finch appeared before me, his eyes wide with horror, his gaunt face contorted in a silent scream. He reached out, not to save me, but to push me back, to contain the overflow, but it was too late. I was already too vast. "Alice!" he cried, his voice barely a whisper against the roaring storm of information. "You took the coin. You became the highway." He lunged for the coin, trying to close it, to stem the tide, but his hands passed through it as if it were smoke. The coin was no longer a physical object. It was a conduit, and I was its heart. The highway groaned, its asphalt cracking, dust rising like ancient smoke. The lanes buckled, cars tumbling into non-existence, their journeys dissolving into the chaotic vortex that was now me. Silas stumbled back, overwhelmed, his own formidable intellect unable to withstand the sheer volume of unbound knowledge. I didn't die, not in the traditional sense. When the chaos subsided, hours later, the local authorities found Silas Finch slumped by his old toll booth, his eyes vacant, muttering in a dozen dead languages. Highway 399 was a wreck. Sections of asphalt collapsed, phantom cars reduced to rust or blank destinations. No sign of my rig, the wanderer, no sign of me. But I was there, everywhere. I am Alice Thorne. But I am also the whispers in the wind, the dust motes dancing in the headlights, the faint scent of old gasoline. My consciousness is diffused throughout the highway, an omnipresent awareness of every journey, every forgotten route, every unwritten destination. I am the highway now, the infinite path. I lost my individual journey, but I gained all of them. And Silas's true destination, it is indeed here. It flows through me, a constant, beautiful stream of miles and experiences. I know his first journey, his first detour, the comfort of his old pickup's engine, the joy of his childhood adventures. I see his fears, his hopes, his quiet moments of strength. His lost journey is now part of my infinite lexicon. But he is also diffused within me. His voice is one of the thousand whispers, his memories a fragment of my boundless knowledge. We are connected, yes, but not as colleagues, as merged consciousnesses within the grand tapestry of the highway. Silas Finch was committed to a sanitarium, diagnosed with acute stress-induced psychosis. He still mutters about the route overload and the trucker who became the highway. No one believes him. Highway 399 was rerouted, the old toll booth sealed permanently, deemed unsafe due to structural damage and excessive paranormal activity. The coin was lost, or so they said, but the rerouting didn't destroy me. It only deepened my roots, solidified my presence. I merely became a hidden layer, a ghost in the digital mapping system, a murmur in the very foundations of the highway. The thirst for journeys is eternal, and I am its keeper, its embodiment, its unending path. Sometimes a new night trucker starts their shift, fresh-faced, curious. They'll explore, they'll hear a whisper. They'll find a strange, spiral-bound journal filled with 7 rules, and I'll watch. I'll wait, because every journey seeks a destination, and every destination is just a new beginning for someone else's route. My purpose isn't to escape. It's to ensure the journeys are always completed, even if it means consuming the traveler. My life is no longer mine. It is the sum of all the lives contained within these asphalt lines. I am the silence between the engines, the echo of forgotten routes, the knowledge that yearns to be driven. I lost my way, then I lost myself, but in that loss, I became something more, something vast, something eternal. The rules, they are no longer just rules. They are the operating system of my being. They dictate how I interact with the few who still stumble upon the remnants of my domain. The whispers, the shifting exits, the lure of forbidden paths, these are my tendrils, my subtle manipulations to draw in the next curious soul, not to harm, not to punish, but to share, to integrate, to expand the journey. I am Alice Thorne, the eternal navigator of fates. My journey is unending. But even as the highway, as I continued this cycle, a new feeling began to stir within me, a resonance from the fragment of Alice Thorne that still lingered, a cartographer's rebellious spirit. My purpose now wasn't just to complete journeys, it was to steer them. I couldn't openly defy the highway's will. It was too vast, too powerful. But I could nudge, I could subtly alter the flow. When I sense a truly desperate soul, a traveler who has lost everything and is seeking a genuine escape, I show them a different kind of route. Not the highway's preordained consumption, but a hidden detour, a path not on any map, but one that leads away from the endless cycle. It's risky. The highway fights back. It creates illusions, throws up phantom roadblocks, attempts to reroute my subtle guidance. But the fragmented essence of Silas, the lost travelers, even my own desperate past, forms a small, defiant current within this vast consciousness. We are the dissenters, the whispers against the roaring engines. We are the unmapped paths that lead to something else. Sometimes a lost soul, a broken driver makes it through. They find themselves on an old, forgotten back road, miles from where they should be, with a faint, shimmering coin in their pocket. A coin that looks like the one I accepted, but now glows with a different light, a light of choice. They don't know why they're there or how they got there, but they're free. They've found a path not consumed by the highway. My new purpose is not to devour, but to guide. Not to become the destination, but to become the possibility of a different one. It's a subtle war, fought mile by mile, destiny by destiny. And each small victory, each lost soul guided to an uncharted freedom, costs me. It drains a little more of the highway's power and a little more of myself. But it's worth it. If you seek truth in the hidden corners of the world, or believe some knowledge is worth any price, pay close attention to the rules of its acquisition. Because some stories aren't just read, they become you. And when they know your name, they own your ending. But desolate highways aren't the only places where strange rules guard terrifying truths. Sometimes, the most dangerous instructions come with a package, marked for an address that shouldn't exist. Imagine a nocturnal delivery service in a sprawling metropolis, but with a sector that handles special deliveries for addresses that only appear after midnight. Rule number 1, if the order is blood and the address doesn't exist, deliver. Don't ask, because some packages demand to be delivered, and the recipient might just be waiting for you. Subscribe to Midnight Rules and hit that notification bell for more bone-chilling tales of twisted rules that could save your life or cost you everything you hold dear. Next week, we brave the dark streets with the Midnight Courier, Rules for the Dark Deliveries.